Okay, well, time for the review. So, first off, right from the get-go, first thing I'm going to mention, this game missed something at the very end. What happened to the unlockables? Okay, so I will, me personally, when I play through like a Resident Evil game, like the old school shit, I never replay those anyway. Well, I might replay it like once every year or something like that, but like, I'm not a motherfucker who likes to replay a whole lot of shit unless it's like for gameplay purposes, right? But like I usually don't like replay Resident Evil games constantly, like 10 times in a row just to get the unlockables anyway. But there are people who do, and that's one of the appeals of it. Like, one of the main appeals of a lot of Resident Evil games, at least for a lot of people, is unlockables. Because they have, actually, that's another thing. This game doesn't have any collectibles. But because they have collectibles or, you know, certain ways of unlocking extra goodies, like extra outfits, which will actually, you know, a lot of people hate Caroline's outfit for some reason. I don't know. I think it's cute, but a lot of people hate it. But unlockable outfits, unlockable weapons, infinite ammo on weapons. This game evidently doesn't give you any of that. And I know that because there's no difficulty setting, so you can't see, you just have to play it on hard mode. I got the best ending, so you can't say you have to get the good ending. This game doesn't have any unlockables, which defeats a lot of replayability. Now, like I said, that was, the unlockables were honestly never replayability for me in the first place, but they were for a lot of people. So I guarantee you people are criticizing the shit out of that, because there are a lot of reviews already out. I've actually seen one, because it was spoiler free, which is Gaming Bolts. But yeah, I've imagined a lot of people doing that though. But what brings me back to Resident Evil, Resident Evil in particular, is the zapping A/B scenarios in 2 and the branching paths in 3. Because 3 has branching paths, but this game has neither of those. Anyway, though, enough about Resident Evil. More about this fucking game. So I'm going to divide the review into 2 portions. First, the gameplay, and then the story. Yeah, I'll do the gameplay first, because the gameplay will be far less complicated. So allow me to go over the good first. You know what? Fuck it. I'll go over the bad first to get out of the way, and then I'll praise it. The first bad. I'll go into the other puzzles, but 2 puzzles in particular. The puzzle where you run around the body in the darkness with a lighter. What the fuck? I don't know if it, like, okay, that puzzle, and the other one was the one with the TV. The TV was the other one. So they do give you the adequate shit you need overall to complete that puzzle, as weird and as idiosyncratic as it is. Because that's a weird puzzle, because they give you that file, which is what I got. Although that file, though, it's not made clear that it's a lore, because there are 2 different types of files. Sometimes they mesh together. Lore file, puzzle file. All that Inuit, Tismuit, whatever the fuck it was, bullshit, those were all puzzle files. I didn't know that, because there's some cult shit in this game. I figured that the Tismuit shit, or whatever the fuck it was called, was lore files. They weren't. They were all puzzle files. So that fucked me up a little bit. But also, the part when the dude is, like, walking around on the other side of the glass, the guy the priest doesn't see, where he's walking around the thing with the chandelier, that was the other part of the puzzle. Not clear enough. I'm sorry. And this isn't just me. This is, like, a lot of people feel this way about this puzzle. Not good enough. Like, the hints to complete the puzzle were not adequate to complete the puzzle. Like I said myself, I myself had to look at it. I think that was the first puzzle I actually had to look up. I think I had to look up like 2 or 3 puzzles in this game total, and how to do them. But that was one of them. That was the first one. But like, I don't know how the fuck you're supposed to be able to figure that out on your own. So it harkens back to something that the old school Resident Evils did that they didn't do in this game, that I kind of feel like they should have for certain puzzles. Because in Resident Evil games, what they would do is they would highlight the text of shit that you needed to do, which I always thought was really dumb, because like it was always really obvious, right? Like if there was if there was a fire somewhere that you got to put out, then the file to it would say, you know, David was running through some trees and then he tripped over a fire extinguisher that was between two closed trees, and then like the words fire extinguisher and two closed trees would be like highlighted. That would be like, oh, you know, I gotta find the two closed trees to get the fucking fire extinguisher to pour out the fire. Makes sense. But like, they're so simple, you don't even need highlights. This game didn't have any highlighted words at all to kind of tip you off to puzzles. This game needed it for some of its puzzles, like the one where you run around in circles. This game could have benefited from it. So that's two puzzles that were really fucking weird, that are like negatives to me gameplay wise. Here's the other negative, is the map. The map on this game is straight up probably the most unhelpful map I've ever had in a game ever. Okay, not even taking into account the fact this game doesn't have a map button for some ungodly reason. But like, so it doesn't have a map button. Whenever you bring it out, it always starts you on, I think, the west wing second floor rather than where you left it. I wish it would stay the tab you left it on. If you leave off on east wing first floor, when I bring up the map, have it be on the fucking east wing first floor, for fuck's sake. But what really fucks it is not having a fucking you are here arrow sort of deal, like pretty much any other game does. Because like a lot of the corners and the corridors in this game, especially the upper floors, like where the bedroom's at, look fucking similar. Like there were, I even when I was looking for the library, I thought I was in a whole different place than where I was because the map was not clear, to the point where when I got to the dining room hallway, I thought I was in the fucking bedroom, or supposed to be. I was like, where the fuck am I at? Like, this map is so bad that it didn't help whatsoever in where the fuck I was. The only time it ever helped even remotely was when I'd already been through these areas, so I kinda, you know, I was familiar with them enough, and I would just kind of refer back to the map just to kind of get a refresher, be like, oh yeah, you know, so like, you know, oh, I know I'm there. I actually know I'm there because I know this area, so now this room is here, I gotta go there next. Like, by itself, this map does not fucking help. I'll tell you what, there's so, as of right now, this game is out, I believe, on PC and I believe on PS5. I believe there is an Xbox version and a Switch version and a PS4 version that all got delayed. I think those were coming out in October. Now, I guarantee you I'm not the only one. No one's going to listen to me because I'm a small channel. No one gives a shit about me. Even though this... Actually, my first video actually has a lot of views. I just uploaded today, not to toot my own horn. But no one that actually cares, like the devs won't listen to me because they don't give a shit about me. But I guarantee you that the map thing is a widespread criticism. And I hope, for fuck's sake, that when this game comes out for the other consoles, all that, you know, and the last gen in October, I hope they put a you are here. I hope there's an update. I hope there's an update to put a you are here, because this map needs a you are here, I swear to fucking God. It needs a you are here, and it needs a map button. The map is a huge criticism for me, because, like, it does not help. It actually fucks you sometimes. Fix the fucking map. Anyway, okay, that's all the gameplay criticism I have. There's those two puzzles of the map. So, now that's out of the way, let's get to the good shit. Every other aspect of this game, fucking great. So, I'm gonna start out with the puzzles. Minus the other two I already mentioned. Dude, this game had good puzzles. The keys were really good. Some of them took me a long fucking time, but the keys were good in themselves. The areas were phenomenal. Being the fact that it was like Amnesia the Dark Descent. I love the Amnesia the Dark Descent event. Like, it didn't have a sanity meter, but being in the darkness killed you. Straight up, you couldn't do shit in the darkness. And then sometimes you had regular enemies that weren't the darkness. The atmosphere itself is a fucking enemy, and you also have enemies on top of the atmosphere. And it really fucks with you sometimes. I'm giving like as much praise as I can towards that. Yes, there was a glitch where I died, I think, 2 or 3 times when I wasn't in a dark area. I think I died twice to that, actually, if I remember correctly. I'm not going to knock that against the game, though, because that's a glitch. And here's the thing. While I did have to restart, when you know what the fuck you're doing with this game, it doesn't take that long to get back to where you were. especially since this game doesn't have those annoying ass loading, like door loading screens. Like this game, like it goes dark and then like less than a half a second later it loads back in. Like I'm fine with that. And it didn't keep happening. If it did keep happening, like I said, I would have tried to bring out the lighter, even though I was in the time for it. But it didn't keep happening. Now, granted, it might. I have a feeling that part of the reason why it didn't keep happening was because you get the flashlight thing that you put up to your chest, so you're like never in darkness again. So I feel like that whole gameplay part of it of dying in the darkness is pretty much a moot point at that point. And so, like, if you didn't get that, I'm pretty sure it'll probably happen again. But it didn't, so I'm not gonna knock the game for that. But the puzzles really, no, one I found really innovative was the knocker. The heartbeat shit for the fucking statue. That shit was innovative. So yeah. You know, another, this isn't a positive or negative, it's just a funny thing to me. The fact that you get the stalker enemy, and like I said, because of the floppy disk, I knew about that enemy ahead of time, unfortunately. But dude, that enemy was so overhyped. Like, bro, like it was not something like. All you gotta do is leave the room and come right back. Like that enemy might as well not have been there. Honestly, there was no point to having it there. Unless it's not supposed to. If it's supposed to like follow you through doors, got you. Oh, that would be fucking irritating in and of itself. But the way it is now, it is not an obstacle. Like, stalker enemy my ass, honestly. I don't know. If that's the way it's supposed to work, like, better than Mr. X, but, might as well not be there. And that's not necessarily criticism from me. Well, I guess it kind of is. But it's not something I dislike, put it that way. Like, the map is something I dislike. That's something I dislike. That's just something I just find amusing. The puzzles were fantastic. The enemies were good. So, the enemies were brutal. I'll admit that. But overall, it suited this game, though. Like, as far as having the tougher enemies. And like I said, if I had thought it, like, I ran out of ammo, couldn't even kill enemies at certain parts, like with the grandfather clock puzzle, which, by the way, was pretty good in and of itself. But I guarantee you, had I used the goddamn crowbar to kill the assholes who are next to the fucking wall, chances are I would have had the ammo to deal with it. So you know what? Me running out of ammo, I think that one time was my fuck up. Cause it didn't occur to me to use my fucking crowbar when I could have. So that's my fuck up. That's not the devs' fault. I'm pretty sure you're intended. Like, I'm pretty sure the devs are like, these jerk offs will sit there and they'll use the crowbar, no problem. But I'm the dumbass who didn't, so that's my fault. I'm not gonna knock the game for that. Not if it's my fuck up. Another major thing, the fucking so this game didn't use ambience for its atmosphere, because I mentioned the audio atmosphere before. It didn't use ambience, but it did use silence, it used music. Dude, that shit was brilliant. So this game, honestly, has a lot of piano hymns in it. I don't know if hymn is the right word. Use the word hymn. It has a lot of piano hymns in it. Dude, this, like, right now, dude, this game's soundtrack, I fucking love it. I love this game's fucking soundtrack. So I wish there were a few more pieces. The pieces that are fucking fantastic. I wish there was a few more, but it's what it is. Also, you only hear the pre-soundtrack like twice. I kind of wish that, you know what I'm talking about. I wish that song would have played every time you see the quote-unquote priest. But that's not that big of a deal. By and large, though, dude, this game's soundtrack is fucking amazing, and it really gives me a good thing, like, because new games don't, the newer school games, Resident Evil 7, 2, reimagining, 3, reimagining Village, they don't do this shit. Like, one map that would have been fucking perfect, two places that would have been perfect, and Village to have a fucking soundtrack. Beneviento and Demetres, the fucking castle. Neither one of them have a soundtrack. This game does that shit justice. Like, you can put the fucking soundtrack in Resident Evil 2 or 3 reimaginings. Well, actually not 3, but 2 reimaginings. But even then, sometimes it feels out of place. I just used it because at least there's a goddamn soundtrack. This game does this fucking thing with that. Also, I get to praise again the fact that you use tank controls and directional controls. because some people, somehow in God's green earth, some people can't use the tank control, which is fine. I mean, to be fair though, it annoys me to not use tank controls with a fixed camera game like this, cause fuck that with the changing angles. I mean, if you can use directional controls, we're fine with that. I guess power to you. That just bugs the shit out of me. So I'm so glad they decided to implement them both. I really am. That's another praise I gotta give this game for implementing them both. Jesus Christ. I use tank controls the whole fucking time, in case you can't tell. Like, I use it the whole time. I gotta praise that too. Like, this game did something I love. Was it P-Cube? I love P-Cube, dude. P-Cube did something. Oh no, developed by P-Cube. Who the fuck is P-Cube? Well, Dual Effect and Abstract Digital, I praise those guys for doing this, because, you know what, they're in indie games. Like, they're indie guys, they can do whatever the fuck they want, and I appreciate that. Like, well, I can't criticize the AAA games like Capcom for not doing something like this, because in all honesty, of course they wouldn't. A game like this, as much as I love classic survival horror, which I fucking do, a game like classic survival horror was all the rage back in like the late 90s, mid 90s, early 2000s. It's just not mainstream anymore. I can't blame AAA games, you know, for not doing it. Like, if Capcom released a game like this today, guaranteed it would not sell well. Guaranteed. It'll sell well enough for an indie game to make a profit off it, but for a big studio like Capcom, they're not going to give a shit about a game like this. And why would they? This game has a very niche market. I'm included in that niche. Like, out of anybody that I know, nobody that I know would give a fuck about this game. They would, in fact, they probably wouldn't even like it. They'd watch somebody else play it, but they wouldn't play it themselves. It's a very niche game. So I can't blame Capcom, you know, for not making a game like this anymore. Why would you? Like, why would a major studio sink money into a game like this just to have it not be profitable? They lose money on it. So I get that, but I praise Dual Effect for doing this game, because they can, and I hope they make more. They also made the Town of Light. I love the Town of Light too, and now they made this. I love this too. I can't, like, you know, these guys and Frictional Games, I love them both. Frictional Games' last game, Remedies Rebirth, was a fuck up, but you know what? I'll still play the next game they make. Dude, tell you what, at this point, when it comes to horror, I look forward to indie games more so than I even do major games now. Partly because of Song of Horror. Song of Horror was the main one, and now I'm like playing more and more indie horror games. Like, these things are the shit, because like Capcom, like I just said, they're pandering to the mainstream, but like, mainstream doesn't have to mean basically Call of Duty. Because like, Village basically was Call of Duty at some points. That shit pissed me off. This game is where it's at. Like, you can be mainstream, but also have some actual fucking horror in there. So Capcom, while I do get you not doing something like this, at least make your fucking games horror, for fuck's sake. Is there anything else for gameplay? I don't think so. No, the hospital is pretty good. No, yeah, that's about it for gameplay. So, on to story. Story-wise, so I don't know if I'm going to be the best one to talk about this game's story, and the reason why is because this game's story is told in files. And I may have missed some files, so I may have missed some information, but I'm going to go off the information that I have. First off, this game doesn't... I'm going to be giving this part of it a lot of criticism. I gave the gameplay some criticism, but a lot of praise too, because the gameplay is really damn good. But, like, the story less so. So, the whole thing is told mostly in files. This game has very few cutscenes. But here's the problem, though. So, having a mostly file-related story is fine, but not for a game like this. Like, Amnesia the Dark Descent was the same way. Amnesia the Dark Descent gave its story through files, mostly. Actually, entirely through files. That's what the whole fucking thing is. But its story was simple enough, and you just went to the game beat for beat. It was easy to keep track of. There wasn't a lot going on. This game's story is much more complex, which is fine in and of itself, but not when the whole fucking thing is told through files. Okay, so like I said, I've been reviewing this game while playing it to upload it. And there are files that I've read where I forgot about them, or like I forgot about certain character names or certain events. Like, this game has too complex of a story to be told in files, because you'll forget like half the shit. So that's my first complaint right there, like, honestly. And so as for the rest of it, so one thing, like, I like the sister aspect of it. The fact that she's actually the sister and that she saves her, her sister's life and all that. The sibling angle I actually like. Pretty much every other aspect of it, what the fuck? Like, honestly, like the cult guys, where do the cult guys come from? Why are they here? Who the fuck knows? Maybe it's explained, but I don't know, so I'm gonna go by what I know. Who the fuck knows? I don't fucking know. As far as anything else goes, what happened to William? He was killed. Well, okay, got that. So William was dead. What about the mother? She was dead too. Noah, he's a prick. He wants to bring back the Savior. Who the fuck's the Savior? Why the fuck does he want to bring the Savior? Why does he want to bring the Savior back to life? I don't fucking know. You see the Savior in the final boss. I don't know who the fuck the Savior is. It was a big pink blob. He could have been... I'm not going to make that reference just because never mind. I'm not going to make the reference because I can't count on people knowing that reference. And if people don't know that reference, then that will fall flat. He could have been a fucking pile of bubble gum, and it would have made a fucking difference. No bullshit. Like, first off, Noah's motivation makes no sense. I want to redo the Savior. Who the fuck's the Savior? What are they gonna do? Why do you worship him? None of those questions are answered. And that's the whole reason why he was doing all this bullshit. That's the whole reason the mother's dead. It's the whole reason the father's dead. It's the whole reason both sisters got fucked. Why? Who the fuck knows? And then like the dude kills himself. Why? There's so many unanswered questions. I fucking hope that, you know what, one thing I might do, okay, I'll put it this way, if there are files that provide the answers to this, then I retroactively hereby take back what I said about these unanswered questions. But as far as I know, they're not. And I've searched like fucking everywhere, like, unless there's some files I missed, but nothing is answered. Another aspect of this game is like this is gonna sound insulting the way I put it. I don't mean to be insulting. This game, the story is like a stupid person's version of a game called Prince of Persia: Warrior Within. Prince of Persia: Warrior Within was a game in the Prince of Persia series. Duh. It was a precursor to Assassin's Creed. That's a game that's... I expect that some people might not know what Prince of Persia is. I assume everybody knows the fuck Assassin's Creed is. Assassin's Creed exists because of Prince of Persia. Here's why I mentioned Warrior Within. Warrior Within's plot was a lot like this, where there's time travel, and you bring people from the past to the present, and you travel into the past and the present and the future and all that. Actually, I don't think they go to the future, but in the past and present and all that. The only thing Warrior Within does, that this game doesn't do, is that... Actually, no, this game does do that! Never mind, this game does do that. Okay, wait, I was about to say, though, that go into the past where your old self was already at. But you do that. That's why you take out your fucking eye. Speaking of which, that makes no sense. She only took her eye out because she takes her eye out because she took her eye out. But if she didn't take her eye out, then she wouldn't take her eye out. Oh my god. Time travel stories, man. Fuck. Anyway, with the Warrior Within, though, the reason I mentioned it in the first fucking place, so like, that game covers its own ass by bringing in items that matter. Because like, throughout that game, you see a certain creature roaming around. Spoiler alert, that creature is you. But you don't know that until you actually become the creature. And then everything makes sense. And that brings everything full circle. Like, The Warrior Within is just like this game plot-wise, as far as the time travel shit goes. But it's actually more complex, and it actually makes fucking sense, because every question is actually answered. That's it sounds insulting to say this, but yes, this game's plot, concept-wise, is a stupid person's version of Warrior Within. Am I calling the dev stupid? No. But, like, it wasn't done as well as Warrior Within, and also the Warrior Within actually answered all its fucking questions. If you've ever played the Warrior Within, then you know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'd do a playthrough on Warrior Within if I could. It's not available on anything I can play it on. Otherwise, I would. Well, not anything I can record on. Otherwise, I would. Straight up. Just because this game, I would do a playthrough on Warrior Within just to showcase how it's like. I would talk more in detail about the story and give like a summary, I suppose. But I just fucking played it, so I don't see the point. I tend to not go into a lot of story detail, I tend to be general about everything because I just fucking played it. We've seen the story, we've seen the gameplay. I'm just critiquing it. I don't really summarize shit. I just critique it, how I feel about it. Is there anything else to go by story-wise though? Because, like, the cult part of it is fucking. It's okay. Here. I'm gonna word this bluntly because I need to. I gotta be honest here. The whole thing of the cult is a bullshit way to get the ball rolling and to get to the final boss. That's what it is. The sister aspect of it and traveling back in time and all that to save her or not save her, depending on the optional shit that you do, makes sense. I like that. What I don't like is everything relating to the fucking cult, because none of it makes sense because there are no answered questions. And I've already gone over all that. So, the sister stuff, got you. I like it. The cult shit, I don't like it. Yeah, this game's story is really lacking. And while that is a knock on this game, honestly, it's like that for every classic survival horror game. The story in Resident Evil 1 is just as, quite frankly, poorly told as this one is. About the only difference is that I think Resident Evil 1 actually answers I think it actually answers its questions. Okay, this game, here's how I'll put it. This game and Resident Evil 1 are the antithesis of each other. This game's story would be halfway decent, or maybe even good, if they actually answered any of their fucking questions. And if it wasn't all told by file. This game should have either been less complex or relied less on files. Resident Evil 1 was more complex with the story, but it actually had fucking cutscenes to fill out the gaps. My theory is that this is an indie studio. My theory is that they just couldn't afford to do all the cutscenes, and I get that. But in that case, you should simplify your fucking plot. Resident Evil 1 had a much more complex plot, and it did have files, but its files were complemented by the cutscenes and all that, by the regular gameplay. Boy, this game wasn't. And it actually answered its own fucking story. It answered its own questions. Mostly, some questions are still don't make sense, even with the answers. I don't know if I'm making any sense at all right now or not. But even so, even with the files being complemented by the cutscenes, even with some of the questions being answered, Resident Evil 1's story is still really fucking stupid. And when I say stupid, I don't mean it as in like it's a dumb thing. I mean it as in like it's still nonsensical. I don't know if I'm making any fucking sense or not. Who knows? I don't know. I hope I'm making sense. Maybe not. Who knows? But that's my take on this game's story, though. One aspect of it I like, the other aspect of it I don't like. But I don't blame the game because other survival horror games have been in the same boat. That's my whole fucking point with all this shit. Okay? That's my whole point with all this. This is a really lackluster review, and I understand that. I may or may not fix it in editing. Make it a bit more concise, make it a bit more succinct. So, with that being said, do I have any final thoughts? I do. I'm mentioning this mostly because of other people. Caroline's voice acting, all the voice acting, but especially Caroline's, and her outfit. I already talked about her outfit, never mind, just her voice acting. So a lot of people are bothered by this game's voice acting. Now, I don't know if maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not, because the whole point of this game is that it's a hearken, however you pronounce it, hearken back to classic survival horror. And I think as anybody who's played classic survival horror knows, classic survival horror is notorious for having shitty voice acting. I mean, for fuck's sake, Resident Evil 1 OG is on the Guinness Book of World Records for the worst voice acting in any video game ever. And if you, go on YouTube. Well, actually, you should already be on YouTube, other than on PSN if you're listening to me. But on YouTube, type in RE1 bad voice acting. Good God, will you be impressed by how shitty they do everything. No, don't open that door. If that line sounded ridiculous to you the way I just said that, I wasn't voice acting. That was better voice acting than what they do in that game. Jill, it might be better if you, the master of unlocking, took this lockpick with you. They even reference it in The Evil Within 1 and in Revelations 2, Resident Evil. Now, this game's voice acting is not nearly on the level of that. And I'm not blaming the guys. I don't know if that's intentional or if that's just because the indie guys, they were just like, fuck it, they just didn't have the resources to make it any better. But I don't mind. So here's the deal. Despite any of the negatives, except for the gameplay ones, I don't mind that shit. And here's why. What did the devs of this game promise when they announced this shit? I first found out about this game back in July, like I mentioned. I've only been looking at this game for I've only been looking forward to this game for like a motherfucking month. Even so, I really wanted to play this game. Why? What the devs promised. And what I saw. What did they promise? A game that would hearken back to the classic survival horror days. What did they deliver? A game that hearkens back to the classic survival horror days. They did everything they said they would. The story was lacking, but it does anyway. So, I guess, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself 30 seconds to edit in anything if I think of anything. If not, then, okay, starting now. I do have something to add, and it's about the map. I decided to keep my earlier criticisms in because that was my first impression, but they have released an update since I played this game that does fix the map problems. There is now a map button dedicated to it. When you bring up the map, it automatically goes to wherever you're at. Not wherever you left off, wherever you're at. If you're in the place with a certain restroom, the map will open to that area. And where you are at, whether it's a hallway or a room, is highlighted. Which isn't quite a you are here arrow, but it still suffices. So my critiques earlier of the map are fixed. Thank you, devs, for doing your time and listening to criticism. I'll insert this in those 30-ish seconds. I'll insert that here. What I did was I did go back in and I did see if I could just leave with the square-shaped thingy without even fighting the final boss. You can't. Because the only way to go back is to the elevator, and the elevator, of course, isn't working. Just thought I'd mention it, so that's what it is. So, back to the regular review. That wasn't 30 seconds, but it's good enough. I can extend the time. I don't give a shit. So, whether or not I said anything or if I just cut here or whatever. By the way, so one thing I'd like to mention actually, this isn't about the game, but it's the reason why I keep mentioning games like Resident Evil again and again and again, even though I'm talking about this game. Because Resident Evil is classic survival horror. So I feel like comparing this game to Resident Evil is fit and just because that's the whole purpose, that it's supposed to be like it. So I'm comparing the two. I think it's fair. But now to wrap it all up, for all its faults, this game did exactly what it intended to do. And it doesn't have that many faults. The puzzles were kind of a fault, I admit that. The map is a major fucking fault gameplay-wise, what the fuck? And the story, but despite it's that shit, I still enjoyed the shit of this game. In fact, okay, so I haven't played every game that came out this year. In fact, there's still more. There's a game called The Medium that's coming out on Friday. Although I won't be playing, I do intend to record The Medium as a playthrough. I will not be doing it right away, absolutely not, because I got other shit to do between then. I probably won't get to The Medium until next fucking year. But as far as this game goes though, I feel like this will be the best. This is the best survival horror game of the year. Straight up. Because, like, what do we have? We had Resident Evil Village, which, it was a good game. It was a shitty survival horror game. Straight up. Castle de Matrisk, decent. House Beneviento, good, but not survival horror. That was psychological horror, more like. What else do you have? Song of Horror, because the complete edition came out. Barring its episode 4 fuck up, Song of Horror, was it a good survival / psychological? Well, that was more like psychological horror too. Was it good? Yes. But in all honesty, as far as pure horror goes, Tormented Souls beats the shit out of Song of Horror. And Song of Horror was good. Although I will admit that having to replay through episodes 1, 2, and 3 fucked it up a little bit. But for episodes 4 and 5. But so what I'm getting to it here, comparing it to these other horror games, is that this was a fucking good survival horror game. A fucking good game, a fucking good survival horror game. That's my whole point with all this. Should I give this game a grade? I don't know, I'm kind of iffy. Sometimes I give games grades, sometimes I don't. I gave grades, I guess, if I'm just passionate about it. Sometimes I don't because it doesn't really fucking matter. I mean, my grades don't mean shit. I can give this game an F- or an A+. It doesn't mean shit, honestly. Should I give this game a grade? You know what? I will give this game a grade. But I'm gonna give it 2 different grades. Straight up. So a game overall. You know, I'm gonna give it 1 grade. This grade, I'll give it a grade. This grade factors in both the gameplay and the story and everything else. All the critiques, all the plus. All the pluses, all the minuses. My grade for this game... I'm gonna give this game a B+. Why not an A-? So this game, for the gameplay alone, this game gets an A. Despite the puzzle, despite the map shit, I did give this game an A- at least. This game gets a B+ because I cannot give it an A in any regard because of its story. I can't do it. B+ is as high as I can go, so it's where I will go. B fucking plus. Not that my grades mean shit, but I give this game a B+. There we go. That's my score for this game. So this game did just shy of an A. Right? Damn fucking good classic survival horror game. Damn good survival horror game in general. Story was what it was. You know, I already talked about all that. Point is, I enjoyed the shit out of this game. I truly did. And I can't wait to upload the rest of it. As far as that goes though, I got other games to do too after this one. And I think that's pretty much it. I enjoyed this game. I already said that. Dual Effect and Abstract Digital, thumbs up, good on you. I'm not even, well, should I bother with it? You know what, I will bother with it. We'll just have to see. If this comes to anything, that'll include it at the very tail end. But as far as the actual review goes, this is it. I love this game. It's really good. As long as you're a fan of classic survival horror games like I am. That's it. I'm out. Unless I have more to talk about here. But unless something comes of what I'm about to do, this is it. Thank you for your time.